So glad you're with us on the Money. Brad Johansson with Ryan Wheelis, Allied Wealth. I'm going to talk about risk. And I'll start with me again because I remember taking the Riskalyze test that, sometimes you can come into the office and go. And I was asked, what's your risk tolerance? I go, ooh, I like risk. I'm a risky guy. I'll do. And I thought, Riskalyze will go from 1 to 99, kind of recognizing how much volatility you seem to be willing to take within the market. I thought I'd be in the high 70s, 80s. I was at 53. You're not very risky, Brad. What we think we have, I want to talk about risk tolerance versus risk capacity, because I like to slay jargon because there's a lot of jargon. Risk tolerance is one of those things that's floated out there all the time. What does it actually mean? It's really a very subjective term.
Well, it really is. And, you walk into the financial advisor's office and the receptionist hands you a clipboard and asks you a question of, how long do you want this money to last? Mm-hmm. Once you start taking withdrawals from it, what do you need? If the market was down, X percent, what would you do? Would you buy more? Would you sell in panic?
Right.
They're trying to gauge your psychological and emotional ability to deal with a portfolio struggling in a down market. That's
right.
Really what it comes down to. And what's mind-boggling to me is, when somebody's got to the top of the mountain,
yep.
We're trying to work with a retirement specialist to come down the other side, okay? It no longer is about risk tolerance. It becomes about risk capacity. But it's important to point out the differences between the two of those, Brad, because risk tolerance, it's what you think you can afford to lose in a down market. It's what you think you can afford to lose in a down market. Risk capacity, on the other hand, is what you can mathematically lose in a down market and still be able to maintain your lifestyle and have the asset base available to you to produce the income it once would have before the loss occurred. So why is that important? Let's go back to your number for a second.
All right.
So you said you thought
I was
you were
53. I thought I was probably in the 70s.
You thought 70s.
Yeah.
Okay. And the cool thing about Riskalyze, by the way, is the speed limit sign. It kind of gives you, right? It's
right.
Cool deal there. And so
I apparently can't even drive 55.
Sammy Hagar, buddy. Good reference. So the thing is, though, is even with this, your score of 55. Let's call it 55. Okay.
Okay.
Here's my question to you. Does your score of 55 meet your risk capacity? Meaning, does that portfolio, all right, if a major market downturn occurred and a crash happened, does that portfolio lose so much money that you, on top of your distribution rate you're pulling out of the account, that you are not going to be able to recover?
So you're not even talking about feelings right now, because some of the questions are certainly feeling-based questions. Your tolerance is a feeling thing. Your capacity is a reality thing. Can I live after one of these major downturns has occurred?
Look at it this way. If you score aggressive on your risk tolerance questionnaire, and maybe you haven't even retired yet. Maybe you're a year out from retirement, and you're trying to juice the returns. You're feeling good. Market's been good to you the last 5 years. And by the way, as the market goes up, folks, more and more, your capacity or your mental ability to take risk increases, or mental desire to take risk increases.
Yeah.
It actually should be decreasing, by the way, but it increases. So if you're doing that and you go score yourself on a risk tolerance questionnaire and you score aggressive, all right, and you move into retirement with that aggressive stance, my question to you is, does that aggressive stance match the mathematical ability for you to sustain a loss and recover from it?
Because math wins.
Math wins every time. 1 + 1 will always equal 2, 2 + 2, 4, 4 + 4, 8, and so on down the line. Math always wins. So it becomes more about the mathematical numbers in the portfolio versus your feeling of being able to be aggressive or conservative. And by the way, when markets go down, we want to be more conservative. When markets go up, we want to be more aggressive. You should flip the script. As the market's going up, get more conservative, and if the market falls, then you get more aggressive. But people don't think of it that way.
Because we've always been told different. This is what the guy down the street told me he does, or the guy at the water cooler told me he does, or the experts say this is the way I should think about it. I haven't figured it out, so if I do a number thing, even though I know that I'm at 53 or 55, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do, which means I go to somebody who knows a little bit more.
Well, and let me help the folks right now. Let me give you something you can use right now, okay? So if you want to look at your numbers, and let's look at a portfolio. Forget the risk tolerance questionnaire for a second.
Okay.
All right. Let's say that you filled it out and it spits out this portfolio. All right. The portfolio's got an average return of 10%. You go, hey, that sounds good. I'll take it. You're missing the most important part.
Which is?
Standard deviation. Standard deviation is a measure of dispersion of returns. So if your average is 10%, that's here, you might go way down or way above that. That's measured in standard deviation.
Okay.
We call it the Wobble factor.
All right.
Okay. So if you look at standard deviation, and let's say the portfolio has an average return of 10, but the standard deviation is 15. How can you determine if that portfolio in a down market would derail your retirement plan permanently? All right. Well, when the market falls, Brad, it always falls much faster, much sharper to the downside than it goes up.
Yes.
So we often say when the market falls dramatically, it moves 3 standard deviations down. So take 3 times 15, your standard deviation, that's 45.
Oof.
That 10% portfolio you're in could lose 45% in a down market. Now, let's take $1 million portfolio, all right? I'm taking $60,000 a year out of it, all right? And all of a sudden, my $1 million drops 45%, $450,000 to $550,000, okay? Now my 6% is no longer $60,000 a year, it's $30,000 a year. All right? And folks, if you look at your standard deviation in your portfolio and you multiply it times 3, that is what your portfolio could do in a major market crash. Does that number, that loss potential number, does that permanently derail your retirement plan and bust through your risk capacity?
Well, the question is, have you even done the numbers? We said it, math wins. Have you even considered standard deviation or max drawdown? Look, you hear the term risk tolerance, but what is your capacity? You have to know. And if no one's told you it's time for a second opinion, don't wait. Because the markets have been good. When are they going back down? Wouldn't you like to be protected? We'd like to help. 844-944-7555. Call now.